Bum 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 bum. The Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum. So last year, around Christmas time, I was at my grandmother's funeral. My grandmother lived in Taiwan. She passed away on December 5th. It's at her funeral in Taiwan. I almost missed the funeral because I had a lot going on in my life at the moment in time. I got to the funeral, and while I was reading her life story, I discovered that she was born just shortly before Mary Curry had passed away. And so in my mind, I thought the two of them were getting reunited. I asked my grandmother when she makes it to the other side to ask Mary Curry to set me up on a blind date with one of her descendants. After I came, or before I even got home, after I left the funeral, a lot of bizarre things started to happen. I want you to calculate the probability of all of this happening. First, before I even left Taiwan, I was using Bumble, and I met a girl in Taiwan. And not long after I met her, she wanted to move to the United States. And she went on to say that she even shares the same birthday as the United States, which was the day Mary Curry passed away, obviously. And when I checked her age again on the dating profile, I discovered that she was born exactly on the 50th anniversary of when we lost Mary Curry. And that just gave me a nice warm fuzzy feeling that Mary Curry was looking after me, but it was only the beginning of the sequence. After I got home, I met another girl on Bumble. She lived in Houston. And I don't have very good luck here in the United States, so I have to settle for somebody in Houston. But I took the plunge and I traveled to Houston. On my flight from Phoenix to Houston, and you can even look this up if you don't believe me, I got flight number 1934, which is the year we lost Mary Curry. On the way back from Houston, my flight departed at 2:26 p.m., 2:26 being the atomic mass of radium. And it just, even though the date didn't really go anywhere, it just gave me a nice warm fuzzy feeling that Mary Curry was watching over me. And it's all good. And even though she's with somebody else, it felt really good that Mary Curry was with me during the entire trip to see her. The trip also didn't go well in the sense that I stayed in a hostel, and I didn't have very good chemistry with the other people in the hostel. You gotta understand when a date doesn't go right, and I go back to my hostel, and then I have to put up with the noise back there. It didn't go very well, but seeing those numbers made me feel really nice and warm fuzzy feeling. Then I got home, and I met another girl. This time at a book club. She was half Polish, studying literature and writing her own novel. Does that sound familiar? And but unfortunately, she had a lot of anxiety. One day we were going to see a movie, but she was really late showing up. I was sitting in the lobby of the movie theater, and anxiety, it turns out. While I was waiting for her, I decided to look up whether or not Eve Curry also suffered from anxiety like that because Eve Curry was in her 50s when she met her husband. I was wondering if she had anxieties revolving around dating when she was younger. The Google AI had just been released, and I asked Google AI if Eve Curry suffered anxiety like that. They couldn't find anything. Instead, I discovered that Mary Curry had a granddaughter, Helene, still alive, and I decided to contact Helene to tell her about a chemistry experiment I had once performed. What had happened was I had discovered that household dust could contain a bunch of stuff that her grandmother discovered. And so I emailed Helene to tell her all about that. I didn't really expect a response. Well, it turned out Helene responded and even suggested a few ways to improve the chemical yield of what I had done. A few stabilizers I could add to the reaction. I got to do that experiment again at some other point. A lot of people ask why I didn't record myself doing the experiment. Well, you got to understand, I live alone. When I'm doing experiments like that, most of my focus is on how to keep things safe. You got really strong acids, oxidizers, not to mention the radioactivity, right? All right, so not long after I contacted Helene, I felt like I was on a roll. I am Facebook friends with Evelina Falinta, if you can believe it. Second place winner of Polish Idol Season 1. I often think of Evelina Falinta as almost a reincarnation of Mary Curry. They have similar backgrounds in humanities, right? Evelina Falinta tending to the border in Ukraine, Mary Curry with her x-ray machines. So I decided to contact Evelina Falinta, and one day while talking to her, I used the L-bomb, and she reacted positively to it, and I got scared out of my mind because I wasn't ready for a fast-paced life like that. And so I got scared out of my mind. I was teaching Calculus 1 at Glendale Community College when I struck a friendship with one of the students who was also involved in art, and her birthday came around, and I discovered she was born exactly 100 years to the day that we lost Pierre Curry. And it was just a nice, warm, fuzzy feeling that they're watching over me. Now, I took a job at a tutoring center, and I had a number of uncanny coincidences at the center. I had a lot of reservations about the job because at previous tutoring centers that I've worked at, sometimes I run into hostility and harassment over my either food allergies or my living situation, right? I'm single. One day, a student, the day of reckoning had come. One of my students had brought in a food that I'm allergic to. She was eating a bag of Cheetos, got it all over her hands, the desk. I am allergic to milk. And the moment had come. I had to reveal this, and I mentally prepared myself that I might have to put my foot down. To my surprise, both my student and my boss were very understanding. I had a colleague at the tutoring center, and I really wanted to connect with the colleague because both of her parents work in the tech industry. And, the tech industry networking is everything in there, right? Well, the student, the colleague, her birthday came, and I discovered she was born exactly 3 days after Eve Curry had passed away. And then my boss's birthday also came, and I discovered my boss was born exactly 100 years after, or actually 2 days shy of 100 years, on November 5th. 100 years after Mary Curry. And then finally, the student who was very understanding of my food allergy. Most of the time, kids her age would blow it off. They're invincible. But she was very understanding, and she turned 11 years old. It was over the weekend. She came back and told me all about her birthday party. It was on a Saturday, and then I thought to myself, wait a minute, 11. She was born December 6th. And I mentally did the math. 110 years after Eve Curry. And when I put it all together, I was just asking Google AI to estimate the probability of all of this happening. And at the funeral, my dad was really upset that I had brought up the concept of my grandmother reuniting with Mary Curry. He thought it was really insensitive. He didn't care for his own mother, but there were other families at the funeral, and I was cheerful and expecting something to come out of this, and my dad was so upset at my attitude. Now that all of this has happened, I apologized to my dad again. He says he doesn't even remember this now, that I had asked for Mary Curry to arrange a blind date for me. He's just really happy that I have a happy workplace to go to, and that I'm meeting a lot of people. He's no longer concerned about the situation at the funeral anymore. This is the Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum. The Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum.